Dear Mr. Prime Minister, Slovakia, as known, is both an EU and NATO member, which allows you to criticize their policies because they are your community, your family today. I don't want to put you in a difficult situation and engage in criticism of NATO and the European Union. I don't want to compare them with reptiles or animals. They are specialists not in fairy tales, but in horror films. And what we are seeing now is a constant hysteria about Russia allegedly planning to attack Europe. I think, for sensible people, it's a clear provocation or complete incompetence. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, Slovakia, as known, is both an EU and NATO member, which allows you to criticize their policies because they are your community, your family today. I don't want to put you in a difficult situation and engage in criticism of NATO and the European Union. I don't want to compare them with reptiles or animals. They are specialists not in fairy tales, but in horror films. And what we are seeing now is a constant hysteria about Russia allegedly planning to attack Europe. I think, for sensible people, it's a clear provocation or complete incompetence. Because any sensible person understands well that Russia never has, doesn't have, and will not have any desire to attack anyone. The conflict in Ukraine, as I have mentioned multiple times, is not related to our aggressive behavior. It is related to the fact that the West facilitated a coup d'etat in Ukraine. By the way, despite the fact that 3 leaders, Poland, France, and Germany, signed as guarantors of the agreement between the government and opposition in Ukraine in 2014, a coup d'etat occurred just a couple of days later, and those who guaranteed the agreement between the opposition and the president didn't lift a finger to bring the political process in Ukraine back into the constitutional field but started supporting those who carried out the coup. From there began the conflict, because subsequently events unfolded in Crimea and the southeast of Ukraine, in Donbass. This is the essence of the conflict. As for Russia, it was forced to protect its interests and people who link their lives, their destiny with the Russian Federation, with Russia, with our history and traditions. This is the essence of the conflict. This is where it came from. And it's not our aggressive behavior, but aggressive behavior from the other side. We have no goals other than to defend our interests, because the other side of this coin is that through NATO there is an attempt to absorb practically the entire post-Soviet space. But we had to react to this. This is the whole problem. And our recent contacts with President Trump and the American administration in Anchorage showed that the new administration listens to us. Because when we contacted the previous administration, with President Biden, nobody wanted to listen to us, and nobody heard us. Now we see mutual understanding is being limited. We are very glad about this and hope that this constructive dialogue will continue. Regarding Russia's aggressive plans towards Europe, I want to emphasize once more that this is complete nonsense, with absolutely no foundation. Now regarding attacks on the energy structure, especially from Ukraine. For a long time, a couple of years ago, no actions were taken concerning civilian infrastructure, especially in winter. We endured for a long time when Ukrainian forces continuously attacked our energy facilities. After that, we began to respond. And we respond seriously, of course. This is true. In response, the Ukrainian side tries to harm us but also harms our partners. What can be said? After all, Ukraine receives a significant volume of energy resources through its neighbors in Eastern Europe. Stop gas supplies that go in reverse, stop electricity supplies, and they will immediately understand that there are limits to their behavior in infringing on others' interests. As for nuclear power plants, it's always the customer's choice. We have a good experience of cooperation with international partners, including European partners. In particular, this concerns our joint work in Hungary. We can perfectly consider the possibility of cooperation with Westinghouse in your option. Also, by the way, we can cooperate with American partners at the Zaporozhye nuclear power station. We, in principle, have also discussed these matters indirectly with them. The same, by the way, applies to the Ukrainian side. At the Zaporozhye station, if favorable conditions arise, we discuss this with our American colleagues. We can even work together at the Zaporozhye administration. But it doesn't concern words, but the premise to carry out joint projects on the Slovak market. Although our company Rosatom is a good, reliable partner for our Slovak colleagues. Not only does the Soviet-Russian design nuclear power plant operate properly, but regular and steady, uninterrupted fuel supply continues. By the way, it would be wrong to replace our fuel with foreign-made fuel, production from a third country, because there are technological features. I think it's inexpedient to do so, but at the level of specialists, you can always discuss this. As for Ukraine's EU membership, we never objected to that. However, regarding NATO, that's another question. But here it concerns ensuring the security of the Russian Federation, not only today but in the mid- and long-term perspective. Our fingers are known here. We consider it unacceptable for us. Naturally, it is Ukraine's decision on how to ensure its security. But this security, as recorded in foundational documents, including in the field of security on the European continent, can't be ensured at the expense of other countries' security, notably at the expense of the Russian Federation. There are options for ensuring Ukraine's security in case the conflict ends. This was also the subject of our discussion in Anchorage, and it seems to me there is an opportunity to find a consensus.